If this story resonates with you, share yours. For those who finally walked away, follow for more real stories. No fluff, just truth. At my sister's wedding, I was handed a neon green wristband. The usher offered no smile as he explained, "This indicates you're not permitted in the main reception hall." A bridesmaid nearby stifled a laugh. "It's for non-essential guests," she whispered to her friend. I glanced around the venue, confused. Even her hairstylist had full access. So I calmly walked to the gift table, located my gold envelope, the one containing a $5,000 check, and slipped it into my jacket pocket. Then I said, loud enough to be heard, "Good thing this wasn't essential either." She chased after me, shouting my name in front of the entire reception. Yes, I, 27 years old, her only brother, had been categorized as non-essential at my sister's wedding. At first, I assumed the neon wristband was a joke. It glowed beneath the fairy lights, almost whimsical. I chuckled and asked, "What is this, a rave?" The usher didn't laugh. He checked his clipboard and said in a flat tone, "You're on the lounge list, not the main reception." I blinked. "Excuse me?" From behind me, I heard the unmistakable sound of a smug giggle. Lexi, one of Emily's bridesmaids, leaned toward another guest and said, just loud enough for me to hear, "It's for non-essential guests." Non-essential. Her brother. Let me provide context. I'm the middle child, the one who goes unnoticed unless there's a tech issue. I receive texts only when someone needs their laptop fixed or the Wi-Fi reconnected. My sister, Emily, 30, is the family's golden child. Cheer captain, sorority president. Now married to an ambitious corporate type who calls everyone champ and wears loafers without socks. She gets grand birthday celebrations. I get a group text that says, "Oops, forgot. Happy belated." Still, I showed up to her wedding in a freshly pressed suit, carrying a gift. Inside that gold envelope was a check for $5,000. No one knew the amount. I wasn't trying to boast. I just believed that beginning a life together in today's economy deserves support, but perhaps quiet is all I've ever been to them. After the ceremony, which was genuinely lovely, I approached the reception area. That's when I was stopped and redirected. I watched as guests streamed past me, welcomed into the main hall. Her hairstylist? Admitted. A cousin's new boyfriend, whom I hadn't even met? Admitted. The DJ from her high school graduation? Admitted. I stood still, ushered toward a side lounge where they were serving cold cuts and iced tea. I lingered in the hallway, unsure what stung more, the label or the indifference. For a moment, I considered walking quietly to the lounge. Let go, be the overlooked sibling yet again. But something inside me shifted. I walked to the gift table, removed my envelope from the stack, and headed toward the exit. Just as I reached the doors, I heard my name. Daniel. Daniel, what the hell? There she was, Emily, in her wedding gown, rushing after me. Her veil fluttered behind her like a swan in distress. She grabbed my arm and hissed, "You can't just take that." I looked at her calmly and said, "Good thing this wasn't essential either." Her expression faltered, eyes wide, mouth slightly agape. A few guests turned to watch. Her new husband stood at the bar, caught mid-sentence. She narrowed her eyes. "Wait, what? Check." I didn't respond. I turned and I left. No outburst, no dramatics, just a quiet exit that echoed louder than anything I'd ever said in that family. That night, I returned to my apartment, the check still in my jacket. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I simply sat in the silence, replaying the events again and again. I assumed that was the end of it, that I had, at last, ghosted myself right out of their lives. I muted the family group chat before the inevitable spin could begin, before I could be blamed for ruining her day. But then, 3 days later, I received an email. It turned out Emily had reached out to me a week before the wedding in a panic. A few days before the wedding, the photographer's assistant accidentally corrupted the SD card from their last event. "If they can't recover files, they might back out," my sister said, her tone clipped as though the problem was mine to solve. So that night I stayed up, I ran recovery software, sifted through corrupted file headers, and used tools from my repair shop to piece together what I could. Hours later, most of the footage was restored. There was no thank you, no payment, just a rushed awesome, followed by the click of a disconnected call. I assumed that was the end of it, until a few days after the wedding, when I received an email from the photographer. Subject line, client preview, Daniel's edits. I nearly deleted it, thinking it was spam, but curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a Google Drive link. Hundreds of raw, unedited wedding photos, dozens of angles, dozens of people, and then a subfolder that caught my attention. Family priority list, shot order.pdf. I clicked. It was exactly what it sounded like. A ranked, tiered list of guests. Top/core family, must-haves. Mom, Dad, Emily, her husband, his family, maid of honor, groom's best friend, cousins, stylists, their dog, middle important guests, college roommates, neighbors, bosses, bottom, non-essentials, limited photo/overflow/lounge. And there it was, my name, spelled correctly, sandwiched between the DJ's assistant and +1s, not RSVPD. It didn't hurt in the usual way. It was clarifying. They hadn't overlooked me. They had categorized me. I sent the photographer a polite message. Hey, I think you may have sent these to me by mistake. Just a heads up, the PDF might be something the bride wouldn't want shared. 2 days passed. No reply. Then a single sentence arrived. I know. Just figured you deserved to know. That hit harder than anything else. Later that week, I received a message from my mother. No acknowledgement of what had happened. No apology. Just, Emily's devastated. She said you embarrassed her. We expect an apology. Please don't make this harder than it already is. No mention of the wristband. No mention of the guest tears. No mention of the favor I'd done. They weren't upset that I'd been hurt. They were upset I hadn't stayed quiet about it. I never replied. Instead, I deposited the check, the one I had taken back from the gift table, into a new savings account labeled Freedom Fund. I'd walked out of the wedding quietly, but I still hoped someone might reach out with sincerity. A message, a call, a simple acknowledgement. That wasn't okay. But instead, I got one text. You embarrassed her. Fix it. That didn't happen. What did happen? A week later, I was at one of my repair shops. Business was steady. My team was in a good rhythm. My employee, Brian, stepped into the back room. Hey, he said, there's a woman and a guy out front. Pretty upset. Something about stolen money? My stomach dropped. I stepped into the lobby. There they were, Emily and her new husband. She was flushed with frustration. He had that polished, corporate smile people wear when they're used to getting their way. Emily jumped in first. Where's the check, Daniel? I want to talk about how you stole it from the gift table. I calmly pointed to the ceiling. You're on camera right now. She blinked. What? Just letting you know. For legal purposes. The check had been in an envelope I personally addressed. My handwriting. My name. A gift but unopened. A gift I chose to revoke. Her husband took over with his best reasonable guy tone. Look, man, we're not trying to escalate anything here. We just think it's kind of petty to make this about you. I didn't reply right away, because it wasn't about me. It was about finally deciding that I wouldn't be invisible anymore. The wedding wasn't about you. I stared at him. Then, without a word, I reached beneath the counter and pulled out a printed copy of the guest tier list from the photographer's folder, the one that placed me squarely between the DJ's assistant and unconfirmed +1s. I slid it across the counter. You're right, I said. It wasn't about me. That's why you made sure I knew it. Emily's face turned pale. She hadn't seen the list before. Her voice shook. Where the hell did you get this? I shrugged. Maybe don't rely on free IT help without checking who has access. She opened her mouth, ready to snap back, but my employee, Brian, quiet, steady, stepped forward. If this is a personal matter and not a tech issue, he said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Our owner doesn't tolerate abuse in this store." Their jaws dropped. He called me the owner out loud. That hit harder than anything I could have said. They left without another word. No shouting, no apology, no resolution. Just walked out in furious silence. That night, I added another $5,000 to my freedom fund. Not out of spite, not to prove a point, but because for the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to earn love or validation. I was simply done. 3 days later, it began. The family group chat, silent for months unless someone needed tech support, suddenly exploded. "Mom, can we please act like adults and fix this?" "Aunt Kelly, Daniel, your sister is in tears. This is what family does." "Dad, you embarrassed all of us. We raise you better." "Emily, you humiliated me on my wedding day, then had the nerve to steal and mock me in front of my guests." But through all the noise, one thing was missing. Not a single word of accountability. No one mentioned the neon wristband. No one acknowledged the guest list that dehumanized me. No one apologized. Because it wasn't about addressing the hurt they caused. It was about restoring the image they wanted me to uphold. They expected me to fall back into my old role. The fixer. The invisible one. The quiet sibling who absorbs discomfort so no one else has to feel it. But that version of me no longer existed. So I responded. I waited for the chat to fall silent again. Then I typed a message, clear, calm, and entirely honest. "I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry I walked away after being handed a wristband that told me, in no uncertain terms, I didn't matter. I'm not sorry I took back a gift that came from a place of care and was met with exclusion and mockery. I'm not sorry for defending my dignity when you decided I was background noise at my own sister's wedding. You didn't forget me. You ranked me. And now I'm doing the same. From this moment on, I am no longer part of this family. Not because I'm bitter, not because I'm angry, but because I finally love myself enough to stop chasing crumbs at your table. I wish you well, but please don't contact me again." I left the chat, blocked the numbers, changed my email, moved all personal and business communication to new private accounts. I didn't set anything on fire. I just stepped away from the flames they had spent years pretending didn't exist. And for the first time in my life, there was peace. It's been 6 months. I haven't spoken to any of them. And the strange thing, I don't feel empty. I feel full. Full of time. Full of space. Full of silence that doesn't sting. I take Sundays off now. I took a solo trip to Iceland. I reconnected with old friends. People who saw me even when my family didn't. And last week, I opened my 3rd store. So to anyone reading this who knows what it means to be the forgotten one, you were never non-essential. You simply grew up in an environment where your light made people uncomfortable. That's not your fault. But staying small to make them feel big? That part, that choice is yours. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to choose something else. If this story resonates with you, share yours. For those who finally walked away, follow for more real stories. No fluff, just truth.